This changes everything for the Boston Celtics' future. As everybody knows, the Boston Celtics have a lot of money to pay a lot of players, but they are put into a weird situation with Kristaps Porziņģis and Jrue Holiday and many, many others on this roster that have helped them win a championship, and especially looking for a second one this season. What are the Celtics going to do this offseason? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video here on Celtics Digest. I'm Patrick Billings, and before we get into anything, guys, if you guys are loving the content that Bruce and I are dropping here on Celtics Digest every single week, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. A lot of you guys watch our videos are not subscribed to the channel, so please go ahead and do that. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. There's a lot to talk about with this situation with the Boston Celtics. We know that they have a lot of big players on this team. They've been pivotal to this Celtics team for the last 2 seasons, but they're put in a weird spot with this second apron that the NBA has put in. So what are the Celtics going to do? And well, decisions to make for Brad Stevens. And Brad Stevens is always the one to make the right decisions for the Boston Celtics, as we've been talking about so much as of recently. But there are so many things that are going on with the Boston Celtics and all these different trade rumors going on. So the one that is being talked about, of course, is Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porziņģis. And this is a tweet from NBA Central, not Central. People around the league believe the Celtics will eventually have to trade someone with Kristaps Porziņģis, and Jrue Holiday as names to watch, per Jake Fisher. And here's a quote: "They are going to have to make some trades. Going to have to trade some guys at some point." One team capologist told the Steinline, "The two major salaries that the league figures are monitoring in possible future trades are Kristaps Porziņģis and Jrue Holiday." And of course, those are 2 contracts that the Celtics could probably end up getting off of. Jrue Holiday's might be a little bit more difficult than Kristaps Porziņģis, but if we're talking about any other players, Derrick White is kind of in that conversation a little bit, as well as Jaylen Brown, but we know as Celtics fans, they're probably not going to be moved. And in this quote, White would seemingly generate the most trade value of the 3 if we're going to be made available after the playoffs. But his name wasn't mentioned once to me in reporting out this story, says Fisher. White appears to be just below Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown in terms of players who are least likely to be moved. Several league figures with knowledge of Boston's thinking have remained adamant about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown continuing to be the unquestioned on-court pillars of this franchise. And I think as Celtics fans, we all know that Jaylen Brown has been in these trade talks for seasons on end for the past few seasons, and they have yet to move him, but they have extended him. So Jaylen Brown seems like he will be sitting comfortably in a Celtics jersey, hopefully till the end of his career, and as well as Derrick White. We know Jayson Tatum isn't going anywhere, but Derrick White has come into his own. He has been a great player for the Boston Celtics this last few seasons and has been pivotal to the Celtics team. So seeing him not being moved is really nice to hear, even though we know that he's not going to be moved. But his trade value is there. It's not wrong. But the Celtics do need him more importantly than Kristaps Porziņģis and Jrue Holiday. So let's go into some of these contracts as well. Jrue Holiday's contract is very interesting. For the Celtics, it seemed like a very good contract at first, but now as he's getting a little bit older and there's a lot of money that the Celtics have on his contract, so it could be pretty difficult to move Jrue Holiday, but he's still got some time in him. He's playing some good basketball. As you see here, this year his cap hit is $30 million, and it's consistently going up for the next 3 seasons, and he will be a free agent come 38 years old. When Jrue Holiday signed this contract with the Celtics, he's expected to end his career with the Boston Celtics. He did talk about retiring when he was traded to Portland, but I think that's just a veteran being traded to Portland and not wanting to be there and really just thinking about things. But now he just won a championship with the Celtics and has a couple years left on his contract. And of course, with all this tax hit that the Celtics are going to have to do, they have some decisions to be made, especially with Jrue Holiday, and test the market on him because of all this money that they're going to have to pay an older guy. But next, of course, will be Kristaps Porziņģis. Porzingis has a very interesting contract here. He has this season and then next season, and he is a free agent. So what can the Celtics necessarily do with Kristaps Porziņģis It's staying healthy is the problem for Porzingis, of course, over the course of his career, and that might hurt him when it comes to trading because the Celtics might not have a better offer for him, unlike other guys in Derrick White and Jaylen Brown. So when it comes to moving off Kristaps Porziņģis, I had seen some speculation of Miles Bridges possibly getting traded to the Celtics, and he has an extra year on his contract, but he would be $5 million cheaper. So that could be a possibility if we're talking about if this trade actually happens. But the big thing here is there is a lot of rumors, but there really has to be a decision to be made because the Celtics are being put into a weird spot, especially now with the new ownership, and how are they going to spend their money? Are they going to pay that $250 million in contract debt that they're going to have to get out of that second apron, which is something that we've been talking about that you don't want to be in because that puts you into a lot of trouble, especially with your draft picks and having to make trades down the line. But Porzingis is an interesting move to make. But with these two guys, you have to say that if they win a championship, then what do the Celtics do? I personally think that the Celtics will not move off them if they win a championship this year, which they are definitely the favorites to do so. But you have to think if they do not win the championship, the roster is going to have to make some moves as many teams do. But let's look into some of these guys' stats here this season. We got Jrue Holiday. His stats this season, just under 11 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, and just under 4 assists per game. Jrue Holiday is constantly being Mr. Consistent as he is playing well on the defensive end and the offensive end now that he's finally getting over that mallet finger injury that he had, but he's still shooting the ball well, and I think that even though his age, he's still playing defense at a high level, and he's able to create his own shots, as we've seen, even off the dribble, taking a couple step-back threes, but really getting confidence in his offensive game. But if we're talking about real confidence in an offensive game, that's got to be Kristaps Porziņģis, especially in his last few games, just under 20 points per game this season, with 7 rebounds and 2 assists, and 1.5 blocks as well for Kristaps Porziņģis. So these guys do bring in a lot of value. A lot of teams are going to look for guys like this, especially Jrue Holiday, surprisingly. If you're looking at a young team, and of course, we could just talk about the Trailblazers where he was and traded to for the Celtics. They are a young team looking for a veteran guy. A lot of NBA veterans and retired NBA guys always talk about how important it is to have a veteran on their squad. I think it was Karl Anthony Towns talking about, he's like, this team has a lot of talent, but what they really need is a vet. And Jrue Holiday brings that into the locker room. So Jrue Holiday being that type of guy to bring into a locker room also helps his trade value, regardless of the contract. And teams will take that on. But when we look at Porzingis, I think that he has a lot of talent, obviously, but the contract isn't too bad. You get another year of Porzingis, and they could always extend him because he is a free agent the year after. But the Celtics do have to make some moves, and if you saw in the intro video, I did include Sam Hauser, who will definitely be a talking point in this offseason as he's going to be a free agent. I think he's going to get a lot of attention in free agency because the Celtics can't keep everybody. Unless they win the championship, they're going to have to pay some money. But Sam Hauser is a guy to look at who is constantly getting better and better as the season goes on. One of the best shooters in the league. Luke Cornett as well, another free agent that the Celtics love, and Al Horford, of course. So they have a lot of decisions to make, guys. The Celtics are going to have to win that championship so they don't have to think too much. But if they don't, there's a lot to think about and a lot of decisions to be made. And Brad Stevens is the master of trading and making things work, as we've seen in the past. But guys, if you like what we talked about in this video, please go ahead and drop a like and hit the comments. And I want to hear what you guys think on their decisions because this is going to start getting really interesting for the Celtics as we're winding down the season here. And I would love to think what you guys are going to do with the Celtics, if they move them, where are they going to be moved to, and all that good stuff. But guys, thank you for watching the video, and let's go Boston Celtics.